Hey YouTube, how's it going? Kevin Cleary with a knife video for you. Today I want to do a video that I've been wanting to do for some time. I've even made reference to the fact that I was thinking about doing it, and now is the time, and you'll see why in a second. But what I want to do today is go back and reconsider the Cold Steel Code 4. This is one of those knives that I would put on my top of the list for recommended knives. If someone just says, hey Kevin, I want a really good knife, it's also on the top of my list in terms of favorites. I really, really love this blade. And I want to just give you a very quick sort of summary of why I like it so much. If you want to hear more, you can go watch the full review from way back when I first got it. I think I've had this knife for about 2 years, and so you'll have to look quite a ways back in my videos to find it. But let me just give you the quick rundown. Size and weight. Okay, this knife is 8.5 inches, 3.5 inch blade, 5-inch handle. That is a perfect size for me. You know, it gives me all the handle I need, plus giving me lots of blade to carry out any kind of cutting task that I may come across. It's big enough, it's solid enough, and you're getting that full-size folding knife for only 4.1 ounces, which is phenomenal for weight. And in addition to 4.1 ounces, which makes it super easy to carry, it's also incredibly thin. Okay, and I would really challenge you to find another knife that's as capable, as tough, and in this size category that comes in at that really, really easy to carry weight and thinness. Okay, this knife you can barely notice it's in your pocket. It's so thin. So phenomenal for carry, plus when you get it out, you've got a very, very capable folder. So that's one of the main things that I really like about this knife is the size and weight and the carryability of it. Then you got to consider the construction. Triad lock, bar none the strongest lock that you can get in a folding knife. And I will say Cold Steel has become really aggressive with this recently. They put up another video where they compared one of their models, the Espada I think, to the 0350. And it's pretty critical, okay? It is. So they are trying to put their money where their mouth is, but very, very strong lock. If you get this thing out and you know you can do anything because it's super, super robust. Finally, the flexibility of it, okay? When you think about a folding knife, you think about a number of different categories, right? You want a good EDC knife. You want a good defensive knife. You want a good bushcrafting knife. You want a good gentleman's folder, that you can wear in a suit or a pair of slacks or something. And you start going, hey, which one of these would the Code 4 be good at? And you go, every single one of them. Like it works well in every single category, which is phenomenal. Rarely do you see a knife that's that good, where you just don't have to sacrifice anything. Okay, most of the knives in my collection, I would say, hey, they could do this, but you've got to give up on this, that, or the other, okay? Maybe you have to sacrifice lock strength or blade toughness or size or whatever, weight. There's no compromises here. You just get everything that you need and want. And so for that one last reason, just flexibility, it can do everything well. Plus, if you want to get more specific, if you want a knife that's more suited to a particular role, you can go with different blade shapes. By the way, I like the spear point because I find it pretty flexible. Okay, and so that gives you, that's the reason why I still love this knife, why I still would consider this probably my most recommended blade. Now there are some others that are close, okay, but I would say in 80% of circumstances, if someone says, hey, I just want one good knife, what should I buy? I'm probably going to say a Code 4. Now, what could make this knife better? Maybe the only limitation that Cold Steel would have, and this is true of many of their blades, would be the blade steel. It's AUS-8A. Now AUS-8A is a good steel, a capable steel, and it's one that I've never had a major problem with. It's not like, I opened up one package and all of a sudden, man, my knife is dull, I can't use it anymore. That's not at all the case. However, would an upgraded blade steel be nice, especially for those of us who are knife enthusiasts or knife snobs, if you want to, use a more derogatory term? Yeah, we'd all like a better blade steel. So guess what? CTX XHP, a phenomenal blade steel. And I'll be honest, when Cold Steel said, hey, we're going to start putting out all of our regular production models with CTX XHP, I didn't even have to think about which one I would want to pick up. It was like, of course, the code 4 would be the knife to go with in this upgraded steel. And it is a great steel. Carpenter describes it as a more stainless version, or a really stainless version of D2. And I think you've heard some of my comments on D2 before. It is probably my favorite steel. Now, I haven't had enough experience with CTS XHP to see if it truly beats it, but I love D2. It takes an amazingly sharp edge relatively easily. It holds that edge like crazy. It doesn't bend, it doesn't roll, it doesn't chip. It's tough as can be. You can use it, and when something scrapes along the side of the blade, it usually doesn't take a mark because it's really, really tough. You know, all of those things just go, it's a great steel, D2. And so to now take those properties of D2, all that toughness, all that edge retention, all that reliability, and put it into a more stainless version, that's a win as far as I'm concerned. So CTX XHP, and I have done quite a bit of cutting. You know, of course, as soon as I got this, I had to get out of the box and start putting it through its paces. So I start cutting everything. I did sharpen it one time because it didn't come super, super sharp out of box. It came with a typical factory edge. So I wanted it to be like razor, hair popping, stupidly sharp. And so I took it to that point. And I've cut all kinds of things just because I wanted to, you know, I've got this great new steel, right? I've got to really test it out. So I cut cardboard and packages and wood and, you know, just everything you could think of, in addition to a bunch of phone book paper. And, you know, I've got to say I'm really, really impressed. Now, I did go with the Tanto blade because I wanted a variation, and I had actually thought about the Tanto before. I really like Tanto blades. I don't find them, sometimes people talk about Tantos as if they're like tactical, and you know, you've got a better thrusting capability because of the extra strength at the tip. Well, okay. I don't find that to be the case. I think in a thrusting attack, this blade shape would probably perform better than this blade shape. Just my suspicion, okay? But Tanto blades are great because of the fact of utility. You get the secondary tip, which allows you to do all kinds of cutting, whether you're opening packages and you want to take that secondary tip and kind of work around like that, whether you're, you know, cutting cardboard and you can reach out and use that tip to score whatever you're cutting. Plus, you also get this secondary edge here that has a flat grind on it that can be used almost like a chisel, and I have used it that way quite a lot. Now, in addition to all those things I've just said, I've only talked about this much of the blade. All the regular cutting tasks that you might do, if you're, you know, whittling a piece of wood or making, you know, for fire preparation, or you're making you're carving something out, a tent peg or something, you've still got all of this plain edge to do all of that stuff with. So it's a really utility blade shape, and it works really, really well. If you want a more combat style blade shape, probably a traditional Japanese Tanto blade like you get in the Otonashi no Ken, or the new one, Otonashi Shizuka or something like that from CRKT. Those are more combat designed blades, okay? I don't find the American Tanto to be a very combat ready knife. Not that this wouldn't serve you well in combat, let's be honest. You know, anything that this can do, the only thing you sacrifice, of course, is the belly, so slashing cuts. But guess what? That's going to slash, that secondary tip is going to slash pretty well also. So you're not really sacrificing much. I guess the one thing that a Tanto blade would not do, or would not do well at, is any kind of skinning task. If you're fishing or hunting and you've got to, you know, get the meat out of the animal you've captured or hunted or caught or whatever, yeah, Tanto blade is not going to help you much with that. But otherwise, it's going to do really, really well. And I don't know about you, but I don't use a folding knife for skinning and you know, cleaning fish. So great blade. And so now you've got a knife that was already one of my favorites. And I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit so you can see how attractive this blade is. So you've got this knife that was already a favorite. Now you add an upgraded steel, a super utilitarian blade shape. This is just a great knife. You know, and if you're out there and you're interested in knives and you don't have a code 4, I think you're really missing out on a fantastic blade. If, on the other hand, you're watching this and you're wondering if you should go out and buy a code 4 to be the one and only knife you carry every single day, Absolutely. You'd be hard pressed to find a better knife that you could carry in that situation. All right, so that's my take on the Cold Steel Code 4. I'm super excited about the fact that I now have it in the upgraded steel and in the Tanto blade shape. And I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll talk to you soon. I guess I should come back in to say see you later. Bye.